All right. So this is the weekly meeting for the Monitor APM team for Wednesday, February 26th, 2020. We not recorded. We reviewed our last retrospective and had some great feedback, and now we're going to move on with our agenda. So I think, Jose, you had the next topic.
Yes, so when talking to the SRA team and doing the monitoring dogfooding, the SRA team prefers to use multi-line strings for YAML dashboards, and I found out that this might be a bug. I'm not sure. When you use multi-line strings, the query ranges or queries do not resolve properly, which results in chars not rendering at all. So if someone can take a look at that from either backend or frontend, because I'm pretty sure this is a backend issue, that'd be pretty much appreciated before I open an issue, because I don't know how to describe it. So yeah, Kirsty, I believe you have the next point.
Yeah, I just wanted to get some feedback. Oh,
hold on.
Sorry.
Before we jump to the next one, do we know if it's a bug?
That's the part that I don't know. I don't know if we support
if it's a bug. Okay, let's just create an issue then. I'm leaning more towards it as a feature that we never implemented than a bug. So ping me on the issue. I'm happy to help. Improve the description if we need to. Sorry, right. Kirsty. I just wanted to make sure we had an action with that. Back to you.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to get some feedback on an issue that came out of one of my code reviews. There pointed out that our performance monitoring dashboard controller actions are only returning JSON, and so they could be moved to the API. So if anybody has any context for why we wouldn't want to do that, or any opinions about that, please leave some feedback in that issue. Otherwise, we'll move those over to the API.
Cool. And just a heads up for the team, I don't think I've announced this on the call. Sorry for my dog being annoying. Okay, so I think I've announced this to my team already, but to the greater team, I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. I'll be out next week, and the week after I'll be back for a week, APEC hours, and then off again, and then I'll see y'all contribute after that. And then Matt's going to cover for front end during that time. If y'all need any EM help, which hopefully y'all don't need any help, but just in case. And I think Matt's also going to be out when I'm back at that week, so we'll kind of take turns holding the mantle.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be out not next week, but the following week. And then I'll be back. So one of us will be here until contribute at least. So, but yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yep. Looks like Kevin and Dove are also out next week, but yeah. And then I wanted to share this board that I was doing work in progress. I just wanted to share with the team. Still talking with Dove and Matt about this, but wanted to share with the greater team just to see initial thoughts. So if y'all are looking at the planning board, let me try to share my screen to help make this more. Let's see. Here. Cool. So y'all should hopefully be able to see my screen now. Currently, this is the planning board. It's not super great. It's great at helping us visualize 12.9 and 12.10. But, we have 50 issues. We have, those cut lines. And this kind of gets longer and longer. And with quad planning now that we have, Sophia helping write some issues for tests to investigate during the milestone. And then also great work from, Amy contributing to documentation. This list is starting to get out of hand and really hard to navigate and understand. And then sometimes, they reorder. Oh, sorry, I actually should have hidden the security issues. Sorry, Matt. But this is kind of where we were. So here I'm testing out a new board flow to make it easier to visualize those sections that we kind of in our mental model already have. Considering we don't really move things from 12.9, 12.10 all the time, this might be a better workflow for us. So we have deliverable. Unfortunately, there's no columns for like not deliverable. So I had to create a new label called filler for now. And then we have verification, design, technical, writing, and quality. So this hopefully should help us better organize and have a better understanding for engineering side. It's kind of these 3 columns that we are kind of more focused on. Deliverable, we might actually set like a limit of how many max we want to do, and then maybe set a max for how many of these we want to do as well. That way, we're not having like 100 issues here. That makes it hard to understand the priority in case things move around. So I'd love to get some feedback. Feel free to chime in now, comment on the doc, or send me a message. I'm leaning towards that we should move towards this because it's a little bit better to understand. But I'm also, there might be other things that could be better. I'd love to hear from y'all as well. So please check this out and see. And I've intentionally labeled it a really terrible name for the issue board so that people don't accidentally delete it or get confused. So
is this at the per release level? So all of these issues are at 12.9
yes.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's
so
cool.
If I share here, like on the board scope, it's scoped to 12.9. So we would have to change this every release. It could get a little bit weird when we're in between releases, I guess. We could have a third board maybe. I don't know. Those are just some ideas. Ideally, the milestone should show up here. So maybe we can give the UX team or the plan team some feedback. Because that's what makes sense to me, but maybe someday.
You can't you put like all milestones in the edit board and then just filter by milestone? I think you should be able to like any milestone and then filter.
I don't think this saves, but maybe
it doesn't save. That's the thing. Okay.
I think it doesn't save. So let me. Oh.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't save. Yeah.
It's a bug, or feels like a bug. So I'm happy to also bring this up with the plan team to see if they can, add the milestone here. Then maybe that might be easier for us. But it is true. Thanks for bringing that up, Justin. It does make it a little bit harder to, visualize. Hey, we're almost done with 12.9. Do we need to move everything to 12.10? Because that's what's beneficial about here is when we're close to the end of the release, we can start moving these things. So maybe we might need to keep this one and add another one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I like the. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I like the organization of it. It makes it much easier. Is there? Can't remember how the boards work. Is there a chance that they could be in multiple columns if they have a certain combination of labels?
Yeah, combination of labels for a issue list is not available. There's an issue that was created 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That I asked.
I'm more worried if if it's deliverable and in verification. If an issue is both of those, would it show up in both columns?
Yeah, I would. So if we were to use this board, I would opt for if it's deliverable and verification, we take off the deliverable label so it can move it. But it's not perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
But overall, I like the idea. It's great. It's much easier to see than a list of 50 issues.
Yeah, I love it as well. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to ask you, what additional ideas do you have to add to improve the board? Because you said it's work in progress.
Could you say? I'm just trying to get feedback and see, even this conversation has been very helpful, getting the understanding the trade-offs by using this board. So one trade-offs is what Justin mentioned. As you get close to a milestone, it can be harder to move things over because you're thinking about everything in like one full milestone and you don't think about them next to each other. And then the other trade-off is when deliverables are in verification mode, if we take off the deliverable label, then you lose inside of that. Does that matter? Not sure. I guess we should figure that out. But those are some big trade-offs.
What about adding a column for won't finish in current milestone?
Won't finish?
Yeah, so for does that solve Justin's point of seeing where the milestone is at? Like if we know along the way that certain things won't get done, can start moving things over early.
From my perspective, it's more so like, hey, like we're almost at the end of the milestone, and we've started the next milestone, but we have all these filler issues that are just hanging in this milestone, and we just need to be cognizant of moving them. In the past, when we don't have some way to visualize it, they just have these issues that are in like really old milestone that we forget about, and that's not good issue hygiene. It's possible that Dove, Matt, and I end up being the ones that look at this old planning board, so we're the ones that are in charge of moving things so that we don't get lost in old milestones, and then the rest of the team uses this new model so it's easier for the rest of the team to be effective. That could be one potential way to kind of mitigate that.
Well, it's almost like the two boards are still relevant, just for different use cases, right? Like the current board is good for road mapping. Where are we going to go for each of these milestones? And then this is the active board for the release. So we could see how it fits, the big mental model of how much do we all have to work on for this release. But yeah, someone's going to have to keep track at the end of the model or the release. Someone's going to have to be like, okay, we got 20 stories left. We need to move them or they're going to get lost.
Yeah. I think the current milestone, the current board is definitely relevant for both road mapping and planning. It's really easy for me to move from one milestone to the other, go to the backlog and check what's the current plan and assess based on like previous milestone. And so I obviously I use the current milestone a lot for the planning, but then again for the verifying what is the current status for this specific milestone, I think this board is the new one is very relevant. So both of them are relevant and will probably still be relevant.
Also, we have another board, which is the workflow board, and that kind of shows what status each issue is in right now. I don't know if that is useful.
Yeah, the workflow board is helpful for Matt and I when we're like, halfway through the milestone or towards the end, and we're like, is our deliverables going to make it? That's kind of where we look at it. But the workflow dashboard, if you don't use the deliverable label and you're looking at everything, then like a lot of filler issues are meant to not be done, so that it can get a little bit crowded. So maybe we add this as a complementary dashboard and make this the main ones that the team really resonates with, and then the other two is more just management for us to figure out what's going on. Good feedback.
Is this workflow board more of a traditional Kanban where you're moving one issue from column 1 to column 2 and moving on the workflow? Okay.
I'll link it in the chat.
I think Daraj already put it in the chat. So yeah. Good. Is there any other thoughts about that? All right. Next one. I don't know who added that, Dove, maybe?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the 12.10 planning issue is open. The best place for us to collaborate and raise your voice if we think we missed something. And there are a lot of issues. Sometimes we forget, things get missed, get pushed. So, and also if you feel strongly about an issue, raise your voice there.
All right, great. And then next, Mikola, you have the last one on the agenda for now.
I just wanted to share because I recently finished my first on-call shift, and while going through the handbook pieces about the dev escalation process, there's a very interesting section about the tips and tricks. And there are 2 videos links there, which could be particularly interesting to the APM team. The first one is about using Kibana to troubleshoot issues with the GitLab, but we could also gather the insights how Kibana is used by SRR team to view through the logs. So it could be insightful in terms of logging. And the second one is about the Grafana dashboards that the SRE team is using to monitor how GitLab is performing, which is also very insightful. So just wanted to point at these 2 resources out if anyone is interested. I provided the link to the whole tips and tricks section itself in the agenda.
Great, thanks for that.
I very much encourage you all to check some of those videos. It's really great. Give you like the understanding of how our users, our potential users, are using some of those tools, which we sometimes mimic and try to copy some of the work they're doing. It's no secret. We're working on a warm path here, and we're still building our own take on like the GitLab style of monitoring and Log Explorer, but it's always good to keep an eye on our competitors and the product that are there for years.
And okay, thanks. And then Diraj, you said announcement.
Yeah, I'll be in the SRE Shadow all of next week. Completely forgot to mention that.
Sounds good. Okay. Does anybody else have topics they would like to cover?
Are you all coming to Prague, hopefully?
Most of
absolutely.
you are. There's a couple people who won't be able to make it, but most everyone is, I think.
Good. Yeah. Can't wait to see you all face to face.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Okay. Well, I think that's it then. So thank you, everyone, and we'll be talking soon.